So I am Avery Sharpe. I am an actor and recently a playwright, as he said. And I actually wrote Woke. That's going to be premiering at Essential Theater this summer.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the play.
The play it follows two friends, one white and one is black, and they're graduating high school. And then the shootings of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile happen, and so the paradigm shift happens in their relationship, because before they're like family, then after they just have to navigate what it means to be socially aware, and there's implications for both of them in what that means. And so we just see how they navigate that with family, with romance, and just with friendship in general. And so it is an inquiry in how people walk together in love and humility as they have tough conversations and have life-altering experiences happening to them.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was the basis behind you wanting to do a production like this?
For me, so this past election, it was very polarizing, as we all witnessed. And so I was just seeing a lot of relationships being ended and being severed very abruptly, very quickly. And so for me, it was a way of processing just how do we actually listen to each other, and how do we maintain and stay together, right? Because I don't think I don't think it's easy to have tough conversations, obviously, but I think it's worth it to be able to walk together in that love and maintain that. And so Woke came out of just a lot of things I was hearing and trying to process the feelings that I was feeling and trying to reconcile things for myself and things that I wanted to improve.
Does it also, do you feel that it's harder for people to kind of get on common ground these days? And even though they may have different views politically or otherwise, is that kind of some of the recent rationale behind you with the direction of this production?
Yeah, I think it is becoming more and more difficult to get on common ground with people, because everybody has a voice, which is a good thing. But I think because everybody has a voice, and it's becoming easier to spurt that voice, everybody's just talking and there's not listening, especially when it comes to tough issues, right? Or things that are very nuanced or very polarizing. It's very hard to come on a common ground because everybody feels entitled to talk without listening and actually listening and listening to understand and listening to put yourself in someone else's shoes. I think that's becoming more and more difficult as we become more and more able and willing in a way. So yeah.
So this particular production focuses on two characters. Now, when you're creating characters and circumstances, situations, what kind of prompted you just to focus on those two versus expanding that production to include more characters?
I think I wanted to focus on a relationship throughout the course of the story that you cared about and that you saw from the very beginning. I think when you try to bite off too much, then it's harder to focus on the nuances of a situation, and it becomes basically the big issues. And I really wanted to focus on the nuances of these two characters and how they relate to each other as a family. Because I didn't want to focus on the issues themselves, but I wanted to focus on how people who love each other talk about these issues and stay in a loving relationship. So that's why it's basically focuses on them too. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's all about relationship, and it's all about friendship, and it's all about how we interact within those relationships.
Now, this particular play, which would be its world premiere, right?
Yep, world premiere. Mm-hmm.
And for those who may recognize you familiar with being involved in other projects, you're also currently in the run of Black Nerd at Dad's Garage. So talk about that transition from being an actor to being on the production side, being a playwright.
It's been really cool and really enlightening. So for my first time being on the other side of the table for auditions, the first thing I learned is all those cliches that they tell you as an actor are so true. Just come in and make a choice, right? If you're not cast, it does not mean that you were bad. It absolutely doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you didn't fit the entire picture. And so it gave me confidence as an actor, knowing that when I audition for things, it really is what they say, that I just go in and I do my thing. But in the playwriting role, it's very interesting because a lot of the ways that I was writing was from how I would do it as an actor, right? And sometimes that was good, sometimes that was bad. And so, however, I do think overall I did benefit actors because I knew what it was like to be on stage and technically, and that things that were actually possible to do on stage. And so I made it hopefully easier for actors and designers to be able to tackle those obstacles that sometimes we run into as actors if the playwright isn't privy to those things. Because I didn't want to be like, and a moon just erupts from the stage, right? Like, how do you do that, right? Just impossible things like that. I just wanted to keep it simple and keep it about the relationship. So I think my two experiences informed each other.
Now, what would you say is the biggest adjustment you have to make as a playwright and with this story?
With the story?
Yeah. Versus an actor. What's your biggest adjustment from being an actor versus playwright?
I think telling the story for the story's sake and not telling the story from an actor standpoint necessarily. Because as an actor, right, it's your job to make whatever your character, to agree with them, to make them, to not judge them, and to make them just as real as possible. And from a playwriting perspective, it's about all the characters and it's about the story at large. And so I found sometimes if I got invested with a particular character, or if I didn't like a particular character, right, I had to take a step back and be like, hey, how does this character and what they're doing serve the story and not serve me as an actor if I was acting this moment. So that was a really big learning curve for me.
So you just had to have a broader view of the project versus your kind of narrow interest in it.
Absolutely.
Oh, how cool. So when you came up with this, I guess to kind of back up just slightly, how long had you been working on this project? And what inspired the title?
For me, it started October of 2016. And so I guess it's coming up on 2 years total of its life. And woke came from, it was just something that you were hearing a lot, right? Like stay woke. And I started to ponder like what that actually meant on all walks of life, right? Whether you're a Black man, Black woman, white man, Latino man, Asian man, Asian woman, whatever had you, what does it mean to be woke and be socially aware? And I've discovered that is a spectrum, right? It's something it's a journey, something that we're always trying to become more and more of. And I thought it was just appropriate for the things that the characters were dealing with in the show.
Now, I know that you're from Atlanta originally, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So native Atlanta is about 20 of you guys left.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what it is.
So is this something that you kind of always wanted to do kind of growing up? And did you go to one of the performing arts schools locally to kind of like to help you and help you grow that dream?
No. Yeah, it was happenstance. So I was in high school and I was, I was just going to play football and do wrestling and track. And I was going to study medicine, actually, be a pediatrician. But I had a friend and she did drama and stuff. And in my senior year, they needed boys for a show that they were doing. And that's when it just bit me, that drama bug. And so I just knew, I was like, this is it. This is everything. And so I went to Kennesaw State, started studying there, and haven't looked back since, really.
Okay. So you're initially a sports jock. You turned a thespian, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty much how it went.
Now, what
Yeah,
did your friends and family think about that? I bet they kind of grew up all thinking that you were about to be a big time sports athlete, huh?
yeah, I had some uncles and stuff, because my last, so Avery Sharpe, right? So like Shannon Sharpe's my cousin. We have Sterling Sharpe. Like we have a lot of Sharpe people. We kind of have a legacy in terms of football for sure. And so I had some uncles who were kind of like taken aback. My football coach, he was really taken aback. My parents, though, they were confused at first, but they were very supportive. So that was a lot easier than I hear most people have it. So yeah, it was a little bit of out of left field for them, but ultimately they came to really support it, and I'm really, and everybody's on board now, and everybody's really proud, and so that's cool.
So have they? I guess let's kind of jump to what you guys are doing now because it's the world premiere, and I know they're probably pretty excited about coming checking you out and checking
Yeah.
out the first show. So how's what are they saying about it now that you come first show?
They are. I mean, they've always been supportive, and they've always been so just generous and letting me find my way. And so they're so excited. They're so proud. They're like posting more than I do about stuff. And like family does. They just like to see you doing well in whatever you do. And so yeah, they're bought out the house pretty much, and they've come multiple times, and it's always really cool to see them in the crowd and supporting.
Now, when is the first actual show? And kind of tell us where it's going to be at.
So Woke, the first show is August the 3rd. But I will be still doing Black Nerd, and the last show of Black Nerd is August the 4th. And so Woke is going to be at Essential Theater, and that's in the West End, and it's in the West End Performing Arts Center there has a great community behind them. So I'm really excited for that. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. And for those who may not be familiar with the Central Theater, kind of tell us how you got involved in their program, because they're very unique in the sense that they feature a lot of first-time playwrights that are based here in Georgia. Talk about that experience being involved with them.
So I discovered Essential Theater first when I was in college. I auditioned for Peter Hardy, who's the artistic director, way back when. And Essential Theater has this legacy, really, because this is their 20th year that they've been up and running and doing their thing. And they have a great legacy of supporting Georgia, not only actors, not only playwrights, but also new talent. And so that's how I got involved with them. And so they were always kind of on my radar because every summer they have their festival, their New Works Festival, in which they feature plays. So I was always, when I started writing, I always was going to submit to them because they're such a great champion for Georgia playwrights. And I think they're really one of the only theaters who just exclusively does new works from Georgia playwrights. So they're great. Yeah, Peter's he's got a great thing going.
So it must be a surreal experience that knowing that you have a company that can take your idea and actually turn it into a production, and they're very experienced, very professional style production for a first-time playwright.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a dream, and it happened way faster than I was ever expecting, because, I assumed that playwriting and the journey to actually getting something heard or produced was going to be 3 times as hard than as it would be as an actor. And I'm very humbled and honored to have Essential Theater there and have them jump on board for my show so quickly. So just really thankful.
Now, for those who are interested in purchasing tickets to the show and checking it out, how can they do so?
So on essentialtheater.com, all the information is up on there. You can Google it. You can Google it, Essential Theater. You can buy the tickets online. There's Facebook links. There's Instagram, just all the social media platforms. And yeah, that's how I would do it. Or you can just show up at the door as well. Of course, there's always tickets there.
That's right. And for those who are interested in kind of following your career and seeing what the upcoming production you're a part of and what kind of production you're writing for these days, how can they follow you and keep up with you?
They can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and it's just Avery Sharpe, Sharpe, and Avery like Avery, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
And just one last time to wrap up, kind of for those who may be sitting on the fence about coming out and checking out your upcoming production, kind of give them the spiel of why they should come out and see what you're doing.
You should come out and see Woke because it is a conversation that in every shape and form, no matter who you are, no matter what color you are, no matter what gender you are, you're having a conversation that surrounds the themes that Woke covers. And also, it's a fun time. It's lots funnier than people expect when they hear the title Woke. It's such a funny show. And we have really beautiful world-class actors who are going to just show you some things. So yeah, I think you'll have a good time and you'll have a really emotional, heartfelt time. And I think you'll be reminded of why we need theater.